this video, I'm going to be transfigurating this mug, this ceramic elephant mug, into a resin sculpture filled with flowers and organic materials. So if you guys have seen my other videos, I love to make latex molds out of weird sculptures, whatever I just happen to come across in my life, either at the thrift store or randomly anywhere. And this is an adorable mug, and I have a little bit of experience doing resin mugs before. I thought I would take the opportunity to make this. So the first steps that I took into turning this mold into a resin piece, I had to fill all these empty gaps with tin foil so I could make a mold around it. And I slowly covered it in layers of liquid latex, probably about 5 layers, having that dry every few hours in between and adding another layer. And I work up the mold slowly, covering every area except the bottom so I would be able to pull it out afterwards. Tricky thing is with mugs is definitely this handle part, but there are ways to work around it. It's kind of what makes latex molds so great and so versatile, because you can really rip them up and repair them as much as you want. Here I get out my X-Acto knife so I can cut a seam along the inside of the mug handle, and that's going to be the way we have to take the resin piece out later as well. But before I put resin in this, I just use a little bit of liquid latex to seal up that seam that we will be cutting again in a little while. Something that I thought would be kind of fun would be to add some peanuts and really explore the texture and the color and all the pretty part about a peanut in this sculpture, because elephant's favorite food is peanuts. So I started shedding a few peanuts, looking at like the red skin of it, spotted outside texture, and I just sprinkled up a little bit of this material. I tried to sprinkle it in the trunk of the elephant and then surround it with more flowers and other organic material. I love when a project inspires me to try a different material, because I never really would have thought of that before. Once the mold was created, it took maybe 3 or 4 layers of resin, actually I think it was 4, to fully fill up the piece. The first step that I had to do was tilt the piece so the trunk would be completely full with resin, and I had to wait for that to cure hard enough. I think it's kind of a good idea to work in pieces this way, because you can think of the flower compositions one at a time. So I went into the face and I put some petals in its ear. I tried to put peanuts in its trunk, and then a string of other greenery that I had. I don't really know the names of things, but one day I will. Hopefully. I love the color of eucalyptus, the muted green, and I thought that really matched the character of this elephant, because elephants are typically like gray or bluish or something. So I threw some eucalyptus leaves in there and made sure to poke out any of the air bubbles as I went along out of the handle and out of the nose, because that's a little bit trickier to fix later. I hadn't realized that the handle of the mug was leaking. I used some tape, I used tin foil, and I tried to stop that leak as much as I could until it cured enough for me not to have to worry about it. I love working with resin on a really sunny, warm day because I feel like the resin layers cure faster. In this situation, I'm using Casting Craft polyester resin, which is my favorite resin to experiment with. And since this is the first time I'm trying this mold, I would use this resin that I'm really comfortable with and that doesn't really create many air bubbles. On the bottom of the piece, I decided to throw in a maple leaf that I've been holding on to since like fall time, so I was excited to finally use it, and it was a nice deep red brown color. And I'll be honest, it was kind of hard to compose all the flowers in this piece because getting it through the sides, you can't really handle the flowers too much before they break. So eucalyptus leaves are really great for that because they're pretty tough, but a lot of stuff is hard to like get into all the sides. Hey guys, it's one of those nice days where I can do some crafts in the sun. I've been working on this elephant mug, which is an interesting project for sure. Currently, it's leaking quite a bit. I'm hoping those UV rays really help cure this resin super fast because in my experience, sometimes that happens. It'll gel up, firm up, and stop leaking. So I didn't really notice that in this handle over here, there was like a hole in the liquid latex, I guess. I also put a eucalyptus leaf right here, and it's kind of a leaf that I plan on pulling out later after it's cured. I really only put it there so it would position the leaf how I want it to, and even if little crumple pieces of that eucalyptus leaf stay in the mold, I'm not that mad about it. I love this maple leaf that I put in the bottom, and I just want it to position inside the mold so I don't have to sand any of it off. I put a peanut in his trunk, authentic to elephants. Forgot to mention, and I forgot to film, that I had inside of the mold some bunched up tin foil, so when I put the resin in the mold it wouldn't fall in onto itself and create these bumps inside and use more resin than I needed. So I made sure that space was full. Then I could start unmolding the piece. So I work the mold really slowly, stretching it out a little bit at a time, just so it doesn't like damage the piece in any way, because these are really thin walls of resin that we're working with. So I just really take my time to loosen the mold and eventually get the piece out. I knew we weren't going to get a super slick finish like you do with most silicone molds because it's going through so much of a process, and I will have to top coat it afterwards because when you use a latex mold, it's kind of cloudy. You want that really shiny look. Once I got this elephant mug completely out of the mold is when I saw that this was going well. It definitely needed some top coats, but this is really the funnest part for me. I'm just obsessed with like glossing these pieces up because it's so satisfying. And I can really appreciate how everything settled in the resin. I was expecting the outcome of the resin to look kind of watery, to give like really organic, bumpy textures, but I love the look of transparency and watery resin, so I really wasn't mad. I still think the full look of it is beautiful.
But like once you find out what your goals are, like 6 months goals, what your interests are, like based off of taking personality tests, and then, you know, learning, you know, your interests by going to the bookstore or the library or whatever, and then writing down 100 goals, narrowing it down to 25, and having like different set like categories, like 5 goals for lifestyle, 5 goals for dream home, 5 goals for, you know, work hobbies and work desired work life. I think it, you know, everybody's desires are different, but once you can narrow down what your goals are, and everybody's goals are different, like, you know, not everybody is geared to be like a social internet entrepreneur, but like other people's goals are to be, you know, just mad peaceful and to just, you know, and your goal could be like how, you know, Alexander was saying, you know, just making lazy cool and normal and like acceptable. Like that can be a goal, because those are all different aspects in life that, you know, really just, it's just based off of you and balance, and life is about balance and just achieving things. And once you have your goals that are your inner desires, it's gonna motivate you, and you're gonna be motivated to do and continue to do.
The last step that I needed to do for this guy was to sand off any of the drips of resin and make sure the bottom is flat. So it had this little drip on the nose that I had to sand off from all those top coats of resin, and then I sanded down the edge of the bottom from all the resin that had leaked down. It would have been better if I had this resting on a flat surface so it wouldn't have this huge air bubble on the bottom. It's really not a hard thing to fix, but I haven't gone back and fixed that yet. I decided to just polish it up and make it really glittery because honestly, I don't really mind those different thicknesses of resin. It plays with light in a different way, and I love experimenting with stuff like that, especially since it's the first time me making something like this. I think it has a really great color composition, mostly like the greens and the purples and then the orangey reds in the leaf. The peanut is really subtle, so you just have to know to look for it, but I really like how red the peanut skin was, and then I have this big pink petal in the ear as well. I love making animals out of resin. I've done it a bunch ever since I first started, starting smaller, working my way bigger and bigger, and this is definitely the most interesting piece I've made so far. I really love elephants. They're kind of amazing animals. I hope I'll see one day, but it's just crazy to think about these like prehistoric creatures that are just so ginormous and strong, and how I've seen them interact on like planet Earth and stuff. It's just beautiful, like how smart they are and how compassionate and communal and friendly they are. It really would be crazy to see one day. I have another video where I make small elephant charms and string them up on chain, and they turned out really adorable. You can check that out now if you like. I really enjoyed doing that project as well. Or you could check out my latest resin mug video, which I made a couple weeks ago. It kind of is an interesting blend of worlds. And then this was the final result. I honestly love how large this mug is. I think that'll be really useful to hold a lot of different things. I think it definitely still looks like an elephant. Sometimes that obviousness is lost when you turn it into resin. You can definitely make out the ears, the trunk, and then the tail as this little handle. So I think it's really adorable. I'm pretty happy with how it is. You could definitely have some more flowers up here, but there is a consistency. And it'd be cool if this green plant made it further out through the handle. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy with it. I think it looks pretty cool. Anyways, thanks for watching. I guess I can give you a side-by-side. Magic duplicated, wow. So with just a few simple steps, I can magically turn this into this. They're like reflections of each other. Okay, so that's enough for this video. I can't wait to try out some new resin craft soon, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Cheers!